YB stays on your neck.
It's on my neck.
Yo, my dons, make sure you hit that like button, comment, subscribe, and obviously hit the bell for notifications. So, Anthony, the landlord Joshua, has reacted to Derek Delboy Chisora's devastating hashtag the plumber price. Has reacted to Chisora let's call a spade on this one. Derek Chisora turned. David Price was coming off a world record breaking personal performance. Everyone was gassed, and to be fair, I was half gassed as well off of how he did Dave, the bigger plumber, Allen. Yeah, Dave Allen got his quant filled right in for him. To Dave Price's credit, he pushed Dave Allen's quant right in for him. Bottom line, yeah, Dave Allen was talking his good game before the fight about, oh yeah, I don't know about David Price's mind. Dave Price doesn't love it in there. I love it when it gets hard in there. All we know is, never mind loving it when it gets hard in there. What we do know is, you like oxygen. Yeah, you got an oxygen mask. Never mind what you do and don't love. You love oxygen. After a fight, you love, number one, never mind oxygen tanks actually. Number one, you like stretchers. Number two, you like laying down on stretchers. And number three, you like to have an oxygen mask firmly, securely placed on your mouth whilst laying down on a stretcher. That's what we do know. Never mind what you think you want to do. When it came to it, your cunt went the wrong way, went in. Dave Price pushed your cunt right in for you, and that was the end of that. Anyway, I've digressed there. Bottom line is, AJ's reacted to the fight, and he said the following. Or the title reads here: AJ's major words of encouragement to Delboy Chisora. He's got love for the game consistently. That's what I respect about Derek. Derek is consistent. If he listened to everyone, he might have retired by now, Joshua exclusively told Sky Sports. He's got love for the game consistently. That's what I respect about Derek. He can fight for a world title again. And listen, after that kind of performance, you're damn right he can. Although, as I've said in my post-fight videos about Chisora, I don't want to see Chisora versus AJ. I don't want to see Chisora versus Dillian White again. I wouldn't mind. Don't get me wrong, these fights are all really good fights. That said, I want to see Wilder do some heavy lifting. I'm tired of it. I'm sorry, I'm tired of it. I'm not being funny. I'm sure there'll be some Fury fangirls out here that get sour at this, but for me, Chisora versus Wilder is a more interesting competition, athletically speaking, and competition speaking. When you think about 1980s boxing, Fury just don't come into the picture. 1980s, 1990s. 1980s and 1990s heavyweight boxing used to be, will it be Team B that gets the knockout or Team A that gets the knockout? That's what it used to be like. That's what heavyweight boxing was based on. That's why pretty average fighters could do 500, 600k pay-per-view buys, no problem. You had Tyson Holyfield doing 2 million. And Lennox versus Tyson doing 2 million, no problem. The reason that was because there was interest in there. People weren't sure which way it was going to go, and not only that, they weren't sure who was going to actually get a knockout, who was going to win in devastating fashion. Fury don't have none of that. And now, you may be thinking, well, what's that got to do with Chisora? Well, at least with Chisora versus Wilder, we know, especially with Chisora's head movement is as on point as it is now. And let's get it right. Chisora's head movement was on point against David Price, meaning, imagine if he had the Wilder fight, how motivated he'd be. He'd be training like a dog. That head, and he'd know as well. He'd know that he's got to be. Never mind moving your head for Dave Price. You know against Wilder that head's got to be moving. And the reason that's relevant is, well, who has Wilder ever fought who's got head movement? Don't even mention Ortiz. Ortiz can't move his head because he ain't got the legs underneath him. To move your head, you got to have the legs underneath you. Otherwise, you just fall over, as Ortiz did in the 10th round. Just couldn't stand up for love nor money. Dancing all over the place on 75-year-old legs. To be fair to him, though, he did well for an OAP. Nonetheless, he forced Al Heyman to weigh the doctor over to go and make sure give Wilder 30 seconds rest at the end of the round, at the 7th round. So don't get me wrong, but the fact of the matter is, Chisora ain't no Ortiz. Chisora ain't no 75-year-old old man legs. Chisora will come in there, he'll roll, and he's going to bang a left hook. That's what's going to happen. Factual. No matter what happens, we know one thing for sure. It's not going to be a bore fest. It's not going to be a Fury, tickle, feint, weak-ass jab fest. It's going to be, I'm stepping in, I'm slipping, and I'm banging the left hook at least. You mean, don't get me wrong, Chisora might get caught, but what we do know is he ain't gonna come around and bottle it. Yeah, he ain't gonna come and jack. He's gonna get stuck in, win or lose. We've seen it against Dillian White, and arguably an as big as puncher as Wilder. Chisora weren't backing off. He wanted more of it, and we saw that in the Price fight. Price hit him with the bigger. It was almost paradoxical. The bigger the shot Pricey hit Chisora with, the more venom he came with, and that's the kind of attitude you need to have against Wilder. Wilder's good at giving it out. We've never seen him under pressure. We've never seen someone stuck on top of him, and that's why I actually believe AJ would beat Wilder by sticking it on him. I'm not sure of all this fruity Robert McCracken running backwards business. I'm not going to lie to you. That's not the gig. I've got to be honest. If AJ's going in there with Wilder and he's trying to fiddle around on the back foot, he'll probably get knocked spark out, if the truth be known. But of the AJ that we used to see, the ferocious one, that's what you can listen to my channel. 6 months ago, my whole thing was Anthony Joshua will open Wilder up like a can of beans on the inside, because Wilder's got big gangly arms and he don't have no inside game. That's what my whole thing's been. Let's never get twisted here. I've never said AJ will out tickle Wilder, and I don't know what happens there. What I do know is if AJ, he's got a tight guard, his chin's tucked down, and he marches on top of Wilder and bangs him up just like he did Klitschko in the last 3 rounds. If AJ does that, he mauls him. Now I mentioned that because Chisora is the same. Chisora is even more ferocious. Chisora is even more. He's not got the power, in my opinion, of AJ. He's not got the speed of AJ. But that said, he's got more tenacity. He's got more ferociousness. He's got more head movement. He's got a different build. He's shorter. So then it's a different angle for Wilder to play with. He's used to knocking out big, stiff, tall plumbers like Dominic the Plumber Brazil. Yeah, Dominic Bumzeel. That's what he's used. That's his favourite meal. Wilder's favourite meal is straight up and down, ultra slow motion. Listen, Dominic Brazil is what we call a slow motion. I've heard that Photoshop have rang up Dominic Brazil. They want to test some of their new video editing software on Dominic Brazil because he specialises in moving so slow. You know these film people. You know they do like ultra slow. I'm not personally into video editing myself, but I've got some Photoshop design dons, and they're into all this like slow motion video capture, all this kind of business, and that's why they rang. I'm telling you now, Adobe Photoshop rang Brazil and said, "Listen, can we borrow you for a few days? We need to figure out how to capture such slow movements like your own." Bottom line, yeah, they saw the Wilder fight, saw how slow he was operating, his slow ass left hook. I mean, bottom line, Wilder loves them ones. Slow feet, slow hands, basically heavy bags. They are heavy. They're heavy bags. They almost remind me of a heavy bag with a 1999 AI in it. Does that make sense? Do you know how non-existent and weak artificial intelligence was back in 1999? That's the kind of programming that Brazil has. It's just not slow as you like. Hella slow. Yeah. What we know is Chisora ain't slow. Even when he jabbed Price a few times, he got quick feet, you know. Quick feet, and that was his heaviest. I reckon if Chisora comes in at 250 against Wilder, doing head movement all day, and just like I said before, imagine how gassed he'd be in that build-up to that fight, knowing it's all on the line, knowing that it's only. I'm not being funny. Wilder ain't got a great chin either. I've seen him hit with a left hook. I'm pretty sure was it left hook actually. I'm not sure. Either way, the Russian Don in amateurs schooled him, treated him like a child in there. Yeah, I almost thought the way that Don did him. It almost, I've got to be honest, after that, the way that Russian Don did Wilder in the amateurs, I actually started calling him Mr. Wilder because he was his dad in that. After that fight, he's Wilder's daddy eternally, yeah? That Russian Don is Wilder's pappy, yeah? Wilder's father after that performance. He whooped him like he robbed something. That's what we do know. Anyway, listen, back to what AJ said. In terms of the world title fight, yeah, I'm not interested in seeing Chisora versus AJ. I'm not interested in, you know what, Chisora versus Andy Ruiz would be a great one. But that's if AJ lost, I wouldn't mind seeing that, you know. I wouldn't mind having another crack. That for me would be another crack. If AJ did, if the 10% chance of AJ losing does come through, I wouldn't mind seeing Chisora versus Chisora versus, what's his name, Andy Ruiz, and they're talking about Chisora versus Parker. I think I wouldn't mind seeing that as well. Put that in there. For me, Chisora feeds on Parker. Parker don't have the tenacity. Parker don't have the want. He doesn't really want it. We've seen him in there. He's the biggest fight of his life. To Andy Ruiz's credit, actually, Andy Ruiz did what Joseph Parker bottled. That said, in my opinion, Ruiz was in there with a much worse AJ, but nonetheless, the fact remains the same. Parker had 2 cracks at the cherry against AJ, against Dillian White, and he bottled it both times. Let's be real now. Dillian White had no legs underneath him. He had no cardio left, and Parker just couldn't get it done. He couldn't press. Imagine if he'd have pressed the pace earlier. He'd have got him out of there, but he started too late and whatever. For whatever reason, but it's a similar theme, and what the reason it's so ironic that Parker pulled out, because I just felt that Chisora had Parker's number. Chisora, never mind what the YB says. Never mind what the YB says. Chisora had his number, and he was telling him in the build-up, listen, you ain't about it. I'm gonna stick it on you, and you're gonna fold. And look what happened to him. He heard them words, and I said it myself in reaction. I said, listen, I'm not sure Parker's gonna turn up. I could see it in his eyes. And 2-2's what happens? Oh, good day, mate. Oh, good day, mate. Kangaroo, mate. Wanna buy a kangaroo? Good day. Yeah, mate. Oh, mate. I got bitten by a spider, mate. Oh, mate. Good day, mate. All this kind of business. All these mad excuses coming out. I've never heard of that before in my life. Yeah, never even heard it in his whole career. I've never heard of it. But 2-2's fighting Chisora. Chisora said, listen, I don't know about all that boxing stuff. I'm sticking it on you. And I saw under the table, I saw a leaked video from Sky. And actually, when Chisora said to Parker, I'm sticking it on you, if you look carefully underneath the table, you'll see Joseph Parker's knees just start rattling together. And that's the bottom line. Listen, if you look carefully, you can see it. Look under the table. His knees start rattling together. He's almost, when you sit down on the chair, and you just sit down. All of a sudden, when Chisora said that, Parker's knees just inverted. They came straight in and started touching each other. I thought, wow, this guy's shook. And at that point, I knew he was going to find a way out, and he did. He O'Hara Davis on. He pulled an OD on us. Found a way out. I got bopped on the nose. I got bopped on the nose. I'm out of here. One of them ones there. Anyway, listen. The Usyk fight. I don't mind seeing that, but I just don't like that fight. I rate Usyk too much. Perhaps naively. That said, if Chisora knocked out Usyk, that'd be wow. And I can see that happening as well. I can see it happening. But I just don't want to. What I'm tired of in this boxing game. What I'm tired of happening is, I'm tired of everyone killing each other and Wilder just sitting there rematching old people. Rematching people he's already knocked out. There's plenty of freshness around. And it just bugs me. It bugs me that you've got a so-called world champion letting everyone else do the heavy lifting. Everyone else must do it. He just sits there. And these are the kind of fights he should be having. As in, rather than rematch a man you've already knocked out, why aren't you fighting people like Chisora? Who's got hype, who, by the way, listen, Chisora under Eddie Hearn will pay you 20 times more than Ortiz. Ortiz ain't bringing nothing to the table. We know for a fact Chisora versus Wilder sells out 20,000. Wilder ain't selling more than 5,000 tickets on his own. So that there's a 4 times increase. Not to mention it'll be pay-per-view. This Ortiz pay-per-view is going to do about 150 buys, at best, on a wicked day. That's if all the LDBC fans buy about 6 each, which they won't do, because they don't do that. Yeah, 78 is going to absorb all the 78 will absorb all the super chats, and no one will buy the pay-per-view. That's what happens before. Let's call a spade now. Let's be real now. Yeah, man. Send in them super chats, man. But when it comes to y'all don't worry. If you want to support Deontay Wilder, support 78 IQ. Yeah, man. Don't worry about the pay-per-view, man. Just send a super chat, man. That's what he said. Listen, bottom line. That's what happens, because when you do the maths, ain't no one supporting Wilder's events. Where are they all at? All these online fans, where they at? Where they at? I don't see even a bit of them turning up. Anyway, listen, as I said, if I was in control of anyone's career, I'd just put pressure on Wilder. Maybe it's a fetish I've got. Maybe that's one of my weaknesses there. But I just want to start seeing Beyonce Wilder doing the things everyone else is expected to do. Why is it? Imagine AJ rematching Povetkin. Who wants to see that? No one does. And it's exactly the same. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Povetkin got stopped in the 7th round. More or less the same. In fact, yeah, exactly the same as Ortiz. And in fact, actually, Povetkin actually went on. Povetkin's actually gone on and done some things. He's beat people like David Price. I'm not being funny. I wouldn't mind seeing David Price versus Ortiz. That there for me, I'd probably back. That's a 50-50 fight for me. I really do think that. as well. I reckon. You know what? I want to see Ortiz versus Chisora as well. I reckon Chisora will knock Ortiz Sparko. These are the fights I want to see. I'm not really in. I don't think that Chisora should be in there with people like Usyk, because I don't mind the Parker fight, but the Usyk, because I just don't. I think he's earned it. I think he's earned a bit more. I think I'd rather see him in some like fun fights like Ortiz. Usyk for me, it's not even going to be a big money fight. It's not like you get. It's not like he's got a title or anything. He's just fighting a difficult fight. It's not really very entertaining. Go and knock Ortiz out. Get rid of that so-called boogeyman. Anyway, let me know your thoughts.